right, settling on the floor. Just starting with that familiar check-in. Feeling the weight of the back of your head on the floor. The backs of the right and left shoulder blades. Feel the tips of the shoulders and how far away from the floor they are. On the right side and the left side. Just noticing any differences. Sensing into the ribs that are resting on the floor, the ribs along your sides, and the ribs in front. Just really sensing the movement in the ribs with each breath. Sensing into your abdomen and the weight of your hips and buttocks on the floor. And your legs. And just take a few breaths where you really emphasize the exhalation, breathing all the way out and out. And when you think you've gotten fully out, there might be a little bit more with a little pause at the end until the invitation for the inhalation presents itself. Breathing in, feeling the movement in your ribs, your abdomen, and your trunk. And then again, exhaling with the intention of exhaling fully every bit of air out. Pausing at the end. And letting the air fill your lungs again. And as you're lying there, also sensing into your spine, just have a sense of how your spine rests in your tissues. It rests a little bit above some of the muscles of the back. It rests between the ribs and the shoulder blades. Connects the pelvis and the sacrum to the base of the head. And then please bend your knees up. Find a comfortable place for them, not too close, not too far. Let your feet spread a little bit. Arms on either side of your body. And just gently begin pressing with your feet and letting your pelvis rock a little bit, releasing the feet and just feeling that movement through the pelvis all the way up the spine to the head. So each time you press and release, you're rocking. You might feel your chin lift away from your chest. Really listening to keep the abdomen soft. So the only effort is this pressure through the feet, and everything else just stays soft and fluid, letting the movement rock through you. You can feel your spine moving up and down between the shoulder blades. And try to make it one continuous movement. So it's not like you press your feet, rock, back, and release, but you just keep pressing and releasing as if it just is one continuous rocking motion back and forth. You sort of want to let the rest of your body get soft like Jello, just rocking back and forth. And again, not forceful, just light and easy, interconnected movements back and forth. And then just for a few moments, how fast can you make the movement? Back and forth, without increasing any effort or strain. Your chin might be going up and down. Keeping everything soft. I'm sure some of us don't really like the idea of having our Jello wiggle, but see if you can enjoy that idea. There you go. And then just come to a rest. You can let your legs down or keep them up, whatever's comfortable. And just feeling how the body's connecting with the floor. And then bend up just the right foot, the right knee, so the foot's in standing and the knee's up towards the ceiling. And I want you to raise your left hand up overhead, resting on the floor. Now, if you're not able to comfortably let your arm rest on the floor, you might use some pillows or some towels. You might let your arm stay a little further out to the side. Good. And now with the right leg only, so your right leg is bent up, you're standing through your foot. Begin the same movement of pressing through just the right foot and not lifting the pelvis. So we have another lesson that we've done, various versions of, where we lift and roll the pelvis. This time we're going to keep the pelvis down on the right side, but still feel the movement. Feel the pressing through the foot on the right side through the spine, and you'll still feel a shift towards your left shoulder blade, your left hip, getting a sense of your left arm lengthening. You might also get the movement in your head, your chin raising and lowering. Again, initially just making it a continuous movement. Feeling the movement through you, feeling it release, and right on to the next one. Smooth. Making sure your breath isn't interfering with the movement. Maybe you're organizing your breath in some way. And really listening into the abdomen muscles, the superficial muscles that we're often taught in many instances to tighten. In this instance, let's just keep them really soft so the movement connects all the way from the foot through the skeleton, up and out the left arm, feeling the ribs connecting into the movement, shoulder blade. And you might even kind of have a sense that the left shoulder blade glues itself to the floor. So there's the relationship of the shoulder blade to the arm and the head changes a little bit because your body's moving around it. Everything else is moving, but the shoulder blade kind of stays in that one place. And then a couple times, do more of sort of a forceful push, an emphasis on the push and the reach, and then a relaxation. So it's just a little more powerful, and you're really just lengthening that left arm and releasing. And a few times do it quickly as you can, without increasing effort or strain or tightening. Or resistance. We were speaking of resistance before class. So much of these movements are how can we limit unnecessary resistance in our body, in our postures, and in our habits. Good. And then just let that go. Bring your arm down, let your leg down, and take a rest. And just see if you notice any changes from side to side. Feel into your breathing. Having worked with one side, is there a sense of a change at all as your lungs expand and the ribs respond to that? Does it feel any different on the left side or the right side? Good. And let's bend the left leg this time. And put the right arm over your head, resting on the floor. Okay. And then go ahead and try the movement, pressing through the left foot, through the pelvis, up the spine, and just gradually getting that sense of connection up and out, lengthening the right arm. You might not feel it the first time. It's okay to start with smaller, slower movements. Just really lingering in the connection of the foot bones to the leg bones, connecting into the pelvis, connecting into all the multiple vertebrae of the spine, relating to the shoulder and arm. Again, sort of sensing how the right shoulder blade stays stuck to the floor. As you push to the left foot, there might be a little increase in pressure behind that right shoulder blade, but everything else is moving around it. And your brain, your nervous system, it gets curious about this change in relationship. A few times you can accentuate the movement, give a little bit clearer push through the foot. So you're really, on one hand it's light and gentle, but on the other hand it's clear. There's a power to it, of clarity. And then trying to speed up the movement just several times. Push and push and push. And can everything stay soft? And then again, come to a full rest. And spread your feet apart a little bit more. Just, so they're 1.5 feet or so apart, maybe 2 feet. And this one's kind of interesting. I want you to sort of dig your heels into the floor and push your trunk up through your heels. So you can kind of do both directions too. You can pull and push through the heels. Keeping your abdomen soft, feeling the movement translate up your legs to your pelvis, your spine, between your shoulder blades and your head. So it's almost like your spine is rocking up and down in between your shoulder blades. Okay, and then let that go. And rest the palms of your hand on the floor beside you, probably closer into your sides. So the palms down. And can you create this movement with the palms of your hand? So kind of pressing downward and pulling upward. Can you create that sliding movement, pressing and pulling with the palms of your hands? depending on the floor you're on or the blanket you're using, more or less traction. And then add your heels. So your heels and your hands, elbows maybe, do that rocking back and forth. Up and down, up and down. So heels and yeah, good. And see how fast you can go. How much fun can you have? Concentration can be fun. Good, and let it go. Nice. Feeling into the breath. How are those ribs doing? Noticing any changes in how they respond to the breathing. In the next few breaths, exhale fully, pausing at the end. I sit here thinking that's such an unusual background noise for an ATM. But I've listened to other people's lessons, who are teaching in New York City, San Francisco, and it's common there. All right. One leg at a time, please bend your knees up again, feet flat on the floor. And this time I want you to lift your pelvis. So press through your feet, lift your pelvis, and then with your pelvis in the air, try pressing through your feet and letting the movement translate up your spine, kind of between your shoulder blades to create that head rocking movement. And every once in a while you can let your pelvis down and rest, but see if you can do a few with your pelvis staying in the air, making that continuous rocking back and forth. Be light and easy, a pace that works for you. And not so much having your pelvis come away from and towards the floor. So not up and down relative to the floor, but pressing up and down relative to your spine and your head. So the movement's going up and down relative to your body. Up being above your head, and down being towards your feet. And a few times this way, accentuate the upward movement. Really feel that spine lengthen. Feel the neck lengthen. Feel the head come upwards. And as you do this movement, your shoulders shouldn't be sliding on the floor. Your shoulder blades should still kind of have that sense of being glued to the floor, and your spine is sort of moving up and down between your shoulder blades. Good. And let that go. And take a rest. As I was reading through this lesson, I just am in awe at Moshe Feldenkrais' brilliance of just creating all these little experiments. Just, how many different ways can we do this movement to awaken you to this kind of connectivity? To spark your curiosity, to get your brain engaged in sensation in such a different way that it can influence how you are in everyday life. It's fascinating. All right, so bend just your right knee and place your right foot on the floor. And extend your left arm overhead, resting on the floor. And with your right leg, left arm overhead. Did I say right arm? So left arm overhead, right leg on the floor. So this time you are going to lift your pelvis. You're going to push with your right foot to roll yourself onto your left side. And you're going to keep your right leg relatively in the same position. So as much as you can, keep your knee up towards the ceiling. And try to roll all the way onto the left side and stay there. If you can rest your head on your left arm. If that's just too uncomfortable, again, using some towel rolls or some pillows. Find a way to lie on your left side. There we go. With the right leg up and the knee as much towards the ceiling as is possible for you. Okay, so let's keep your right arm resting along your right side. There we go. So staying on your left side with your right foot on the floor and your right knee upward. Again, if you can keep it towards the ceiling, great. But if it needs to point forward, again, we don't need any extra strain or static or certainly no pain. But now in this position, try pressing through your right foot and seeing how that will translate through your hip and pelvis, up your spine and out your head. Now, with the right arm, I want you to wrap it around the top of your head so your fingers are somewhere near your left temple. Some kind of position so you can lift your head. So as you push with your right leg, just see if there's an invitation so you're pushing with your right leg. See if there's an invitation for your right arm to help your head lift a little bit at the end of the push. There's kind of a lifting and a lengthening. But feel your way there. Don't just do it because I'm saying lift your head. See if you can really feel that natural connection, that natural inclination of how these movements organize themselves together. And again, if you need to modify how you're lifting your head, if bringing your arm up and over and around your head is too uncomfortable, you can just tuck your arm under your head in some way. Or you can just lift your head without using your arm. So always in all of these lessons, modifications for comfort are expected. Great. So your head is lifting kind of towards the ceiling. Your right ear is coming towards your right shoulder a little bit. Depending on the position of your spine, your head will go sideways. It might also go backwards a little bit. There might be an inclination for the back of your head to go back a little bit. Try accentuating the push a few times, pushing a little harder, lifting a little higher, but again, only if that feels easy. Feel the ribs along your left side. Rest whenever you need to. Good. And just roll onto your backs and rest. Kind of an interesting configuration for that movement. And again, feeling into the right and left sides, the ribs, the breath. See if that movement influenced anything. And then bend your left knee, placing your left foot on the floor. Putting your right arm over your head, resting on the floor, if that's possible. If not, just support it in whatever way is possible. And press through your left foot to roll yourself onto the right side. If you're able to, let your head rest on your right arm. If not, you can use a pillow or some folded towels for your head. There we go, good. So rolled onto your right side with your head resting on your right arm. Good. And then beginning the experiment of pressing through the left foot. Feeling the movement translate through your spine, up your head, and with this whole right side on the floor. So the right side gets really glued to the floor. So where does the movement go once it gets through your spine? Can you feel that invitation towards the head to begin to lift? And go ahead and wrap your left arm around the top of your head, fingertips towards the temple. Again, modify this if you need to for comfort. So the left hand, I might have said the right hand, left hand goes up and over the head. Left. There you go. Okay. Pressing through the foot and just feeling that invitation for the head to lift, and the left hand can help with that. So you're also feeling, as you lift your head, the whole left side of your body bends a little bit. This is where we get into kind of those accordion or slinky ribs. The left side bends, and you might feel the right side of the ribs just lengthening as they press into the floor. Breathing, notice if you're clenching in your teeth. Are you really working at it because it's such an odd position? Or can you still be light and playful and relaxed? Feeling, a couple times accentuating the movement, just really feeling that push through the foot and the clarity through your spine, lengthening and lifting the head and neck. Nice. Lovely. Good. And when you're ready, rolling onto your backs and resting. Enjoying normal lying on the floor on your backs. That was the only pretzel movement. Pat yourselves on the back. Okay, and now bend both your knees, feet on the floor. Cross the right leg over the left, so it's thigh over thigh, not ankle over knee. Right leg over the left. Turn your face to the right. Place your left hand sort of over or under your head so that your fingers are towards your right ear. Some kind of position so you might be able to help lift your head. And now push upward with the left leg. Initially just feeling the push, seeing how your left arm might help your head lengthen, doing the movements very gradually without force. The movement of the head will match the speed of the pressure through the foot. And then a few times you can feel when it feels right to let the left arm help lift the head upwards a bit. So you're lifting the head and lengthening your neck, pushing through the left foot. Remember, your head is turned to the right. Head is turned to the right. Left hand behind the head, sort of under the under the right ear. Pressing through the left foot, lifting the head upward a bit. And breathing. And letting your jaw be soft. Giving yourself permission to do it your unique way. And relaxing. Letting it all go. Undoing the knees and the head. And just taking a little break. And bending the knees back up. Crossing the left leg over the right leg, thigh over thigh. So it's not ankle over knee, thigh over thigh. Turning the head to the left. Bringing your right arm around your head so that your fingers are towards your left ear, if possible, but again, in some way, if you need to modify it, that you might be able to help lift your head with your right arm. And then again, returning to the experiment of pressing through your right leg, discovering what it's like on the right side, making it fresh, what's different on the right side than the left side. And when you're ready, feeling that invitation to let the right arm help lifting the head at the end of the push. And just getting a sense of the whole spine lengthening. You can also notice the movements in front of you, the sternum, the clavicles, the ribs in front. And let it go and rest. Uncross your legs, let your arms down. And just 2 or 3 full exhales, just feeling how that is. Are there any changes in how you sense your ribs, the filling of your lungs? Good. And let's roll onto your stomachs, please. And here I do recommend some kind of a towel under your forehead so you can look downward, a towel or pillow, so there's space for your nose and your chin. Yeah, so you just want some place for your forehead to rest so that you can still breathe through your nose and your mouth. Good. Now bend the feet back so the toes are on the floor. Basically, you want to see if you can push through your toes and get that same pushing sensation up through your legs, your pelvis, and your spine. Your knees might lift off the floor. And you might lift your head a little bit at the end of the push so that your forehead's not rubbing too much on the floor. Now the front of your chest, your sternum, your ribs, they're all on the floor, while the back of you is free to move with the pressing through the toes. You can have your hands on either side of your body in kind of a push-ups position, and really let your hands sort of push into the floor to help your head lift at the end of the push. And let yourself play with different speeds of movement, slow, connected, light, fast. See if you can get that Jello pudding feeling. And go ahead and pause for a moment. You can turn your head to the right or to the left while you're resting. And then extend the left arm overhead on the floor, kind of with the left ear near the arm. And extend the toes on the right, or bend them back. So you're bending the foot backwards to get the toes on the floor, the right toes on the floor, letting the left leg rest, and pushing through those right toes and seeing if you can feel that lengthening all the way up through your left arm. And then you can even let your right hand press on the floor a little bit to help support the lifting of your head. Nice. Good. And then go ahead and switch that around. Bring the right arm overhead, the left hand in the push-ups position. Bend the toes back on the left side, so you're pressing through the left toes, feeling that movement through your trunk and spine, out your right arm. And when the timing feels right, using some support, little pressure into the floor of the left hand to lift your head. Breathing. Great. Let that go and roll onto your backs, please. This is a good lesson for people who tend to fall asleep during lessons. I don't think they're going to. It's a lot in it. I think that's how Moshe did things. Okay, so this time bend your knees up, feet flat on the floor, and I want you to put your hands on your head above your ears. So you're holding onto your head above your ears. So your fingertips will go backwards towards the floor. Your palms will probably be kind of on your temples, above your ears. So fingertips down towards the floor. You're holding your head, elbows up in the air, and pushing through both feet. And each time you get to the end, letting your hands help lift and lengthen. Just accentuating that lift and lengthen. Feeling the full length of your spine at the end of the movement. Letting the head go back down as you release the pressure through your feet. Make sure your feet are a good distance apart, not too close together. Feel what happens to the front of your chest as your spine moves up and down. Accentuate the movement a few times, really feeling the clarity of the push and the connection, the lift and lengthening of the neck and the head. Good. And let it all go. Rest. Just feel into your experience. Notice how you're lying on the floor now. How the right and left sides of your body make contact with the floor. The backs of your shoulder blades. The length of your spine. Is there a sense of fullness in your breath? And then take your time. When you're ready, roll to your side. Sometimes it's good to take a few moments on your side, those of us who get a little lightheaded or dizzy. nice to get the blood circulating up to the head before you stand up. But when you're ready, stand up and just take your time to stay in your sensations, to stay with any new feelings, any new ways of experiencing your body. After standing for a few minutes, you can take many moments to walk around and feel what influence has this lesson had in walking, in movement, in how you interact